Okay, so here we go. Okay, where to begin? This is going to be complicated because there are actually two beginnings to this story. There's where you see it start, then there's where it really started. But for the sake of consistency, we're going to go chronologically here. Now, the story picks up after Dragon Ball. Goku has gone through all these adventures as a child, grown to be a man, faced off against the evil King Piccolo for a second time, and came out the winner, was declared the strongest man in the world. Married the princess that was in love with him, so on and so forth. There you go. Now, 5 years have gone by since then. Things have been peaceful. Piccolo hasn't been up to anything. He's been training to be up to something, but he hasn't been up to anything yet. Um, Goku is planning to finally meet up with some of his old friends again at his master's house, Master Roshi's house. And for the first time, you get introduced to his son, Gohan, who is going to wind up playing a very big role here. Now, at the same time, elsewhere, something falls right out of the sky and crash lands into the farmlands out in the countryside. And it turns out it's some sort of space capsule, and out comes a freaky looking dude wearing armor. Goes out on a hunt for someone he keeps referring to as Kakarot. No one really sure who it is. Using a device that he has, he manages to track down Piccolo. Piccolo being already established as being utterly vicious, ruthless, terrifying. Seeing this guy starts shaking himself. Piccolo is terrified of this guy. He's not even afraid of Goku this way. And Goku beat the crap out of him last time they met. Unleashes an extremely powerful attack on him. Doesn't even scratch him. Only thing that saves Piccolo's butt is the fact that the scouter picks up another power signal. Which Raditz figures it must be Goku. Now he takes off. Piccolo's there completely in shock. Eventually decides to follow him. Now Goku shows up on the island. Okay, I'm trying to, get you through at least the beginning details here so we can focus on the bigger picture. Goku shows up on the island, meets Krillin, his best friend, the guy who trained with him under their master, and Bulma, the first person he ever met outside of his grandfather. Introduces them to his son, and then all of a sudden, the same alien shows up. Now, here's where things get interesting. Not only does he show up there and declare himself to be looking for Kakarot, who he insists is Goku, but he has a tail, like Goku did. He claims to be an alien, and he says that Goku is as well. And that the reason that Goku is even there is to conquer this planet. Wipe out all life on it so they could sell it to the highest bidder. It's something that they tend to be in the habit of doing. Now, Goku, of course, doesn't really buy into this. He can't really believe it. Master Roshi, though, tells him something that Gohan had told him long ago about finding a boy who, out in the wilderness and everything, and it turns out that's Goku. Something that Roshi hadn't really ever bothered to tell him, though, because it frankly wasn't important. Now, though, it makes sense. So Goku now, and here's the interesting thing, Goku now has to deal with several issues. Number one, finding out that he's not even human. See, to Goku, being different never really mattered. To him, he was normal, it was everyone else who was weird. He couldn't figure out why no one else had a tail. He thought that maybe when he first met Bulma that she had lost hers somehow. Or maybe perhaps females didn't have a tail, girls didn't have a tail. He had no idea what they were. He had no idea what other people were. The only other person that he had seen was his grandfather. But to Goku, Goku looked entirely normal. it didn't really matter to him if he didn't seem to fit in with everyone else. He didn't make a big deal of it. Um, he was just him. But now, finding out that he's not even what he thought he was, he's not even the same race that he thought he was, the same species. He's from another freaking planet. The planet that he's been calling his home his whole life is not his home. No, none of this is. And on top of this, he's the people that are really his people and his home are a bunch of frigging murderers, killers, pirates. They go around wiping out and committing mass genocide, wiping out other people, and frigging selling the planet when they're done with it. This is something that he's all got to process, and he's trying really hard to deny this at first. And his brother, the guy that he later reveals that he is his brother, does not take to this very well. He starts getting angry. And because he needs Goku's help. They need him to help them conquer this other planet. It's becoming very difficult for just the three of them to do without the possibility of suffering severe damage. But they figure if they have a fourth, this will go over really well. But not working out that way. So he does something very interesting. Faster than Goku can even react, floors him with one hit. Takes his son and basically tells him that if he does not kill, how many was it? Like 100, 200, something like that, humans, and stack them on the beach by the time he came back, or present them to him by the time he came back, Gohan was, gone. He'd take him and he'd kill everyone else. Now, Goku, of course, doesn't take too well to this, decides he's going to go after him. Piccolo says that he's going to help. Now, this is an interesting dynamic here, because this is Goku and Piccolo working together. See, this is something that has never happened before. These two were mortal enemies. Piccolo had pretty much made it his business to kill Goku. Now, here's where some interesting stuff starts happening, though. Of course, they catch up to Raditz. They have their fight. It's brutal. They can't even take him on together. It takes literally everything they have and then some to beat him. Piccolo loses a freaking arm. They're getting smacked around, smashed. Everything. This guy is insanely powerful. And in fact, Goku actually winds up beginning to be crushed by him. Getting broken ribs underneath this guy's foot, when suddenly, out of nowhere, Gohan shows an obscenely high level of power, hidden power, and hits Raditz with, so much force that it freaking shatters his armor. Now, here's an interesting thing here. This is something that's going to be explored a lot throughout the entire series, at least the first half. In fact, probably the first 2/3 would be a bit more accurate. Gohan has a huge amount of hidden potential. But, just smashes into him so hard it cracks the armor, but then it's gone. They can't figure out what happened, but it does manage to buy Goku the time he needs in order to get a hold of Raditz again. And hold him, pin him. And Piccolo proceeds to fire right through the two of them, kill them both. Now, here's where this is very significant. First and foremost, this could be, now this is entirely conjecture on my part, entirely, I'm not going to lie. I just think it's a possibility that this is one reason Piccolo was finally able to start changing. Because, see, this was the burning ambition that had been placed in him by his father, was to kill Goku. And he did it. More than anything, he wanted revenge, and he finally took it. He killed him. Now, second of all, this was a severe blow to everyone who knew Goku, because to them, Goku had always been invincible. Goku had always been able to win. Goku had always been able to, no matter how bad things were, no matter how severe things were, manage to pull through and win and yet he's dead. He died. Now, he did, now he, they figured they can get the Dragon Balls and wish him back to life, but still, this is something that's never happened to them before. And then on top of that, the Saiyan, before he dies, the guy that was so powerful that even the two strongest people in the world couldn't beat him without suffering such severe losses. Piccolo lost an arm, Goku died, and even then they wouldn't have been able to beat him if it wasn't for that freak power-up from Gohan. And yet he reveals to them that Scouter is also a communicator. He's got his allies that he mentioned before heard everything. They're coming, and they make him look pathetically weak by comparison. The guy who managed to do this to them is a freaking flea compared to what's coming. And now there is an epic setup. So after that, nobody wastes freaking time. Kami calls the other Z fighters, says, I'm going to train you myself. Can't afford to mess around here. Piccolo basically takes Gohan with or without permission, says he's going to train him to bring out that hidden power. Train their friggin' butts off for the year that they have. Trying desperately to get strong enough to do something. And even though they're advancing, somewhere deep down they know that there's no way they're going to be able to pull this off. They do finally get good news, though. Goku is going to come back. He's going to be trained by the legendary King Kai. Now, to them, that doesn't really hold too much meaning, but knowing that he's a legend, to them seems enough. They're confident that this is going to seriously help Goku get stronger, and he's going to be able to help them. But on the other end, you got Gohan and Piccolo. Now, Gohan is a baby. He's pampered, he's spoiled, all this. Piccolo, on the other hand, is obscenely harsh. He's the drill sergeant from hell. Okay, he is harsh, he is unforgiving, he is cold, he is... If Gohan can't pull it together and survive on his own for a certain amount of time, he's dead. That's it. He only bailed him out maybe 2 times. Seriously, throughout his entire training, and that was it. He was expected to do everything else on his own. That was to toughen him up, at least emotionally and physically. Now, once he did that, he was able to train him, and it was during this time that he spent with him, first and foremost, it's when he discovered the ability for Saiyans to transform, and as such, destroyed the moon. Now, secondly, during this time he spent with Gohan, despite the fact that he was treating him the way he was, despite the fact that he was so cold to him, despite the fact that he was pounding on him, giving him every reason to hate him. And on top of it, see, when Kami first arrived, you also have to understand how Piccolo was created. Piccolo was created because of what Kami experienced when he first landed. Yes, I know it's not his name, we're going with it, okay? When he first landed here, he had experienced so much evil, what people had done to each other, what people had done to him just because of how he looked, how they treated him, how, the things that they had done to each other, they were destroying each other, they were stealing from each other. All of this fostered a bitterness in him. It was an anger at them for the way they treated him. It was an anger at them for how they treated each other, and a temptation to take power. That he could, if he could take power over them, he could force them to act the way he wanted. And when he was going to become the Kami of the Earth, Guardian of the Earth, he was told that he had to get rid of it. He had to purge it. So he did, and it became a separate entity, and that's our Piccolo. But for the first time, Piccolo was experiencing the opposite. Someone who wasn't judging him based on how he looked or even how he treated him, but was seeing him as an individual, a person, not a monster. To be continued.